If you've been watching any of my Luminar AI videos lately, you might have noticed that I've had a few times where things have slowed down, performance wasn't great, and I always blamed it on my old machine. Today, we're going to take a look at how Luminar AI runs on a new M1 iMac, because I'm happy I finally replaced my old machine. So let's take a look inside. Hi, my name is William Beem, and I am the happy owner of a new M1 iMac. And I wanted to show you a little bit of how that affects what's going on inside of Luminar AI. The previous machine I was using was a 2014 Intel Core i5, which is kind of middle of the road for the Intel series. Had 24 gigs of RAM, and my profile was running on an external RAID array connected through Thunderbolt. Now that I have an M1 iMac, everything's running on the internal SSD. I've got a 1 terabyte drive there. I've got 16 gigs of RAM and, of course, the Apple M1 Apple Silicon chip. Things are much faster. And also, as of Luminar AI Update 3, they've coded their systems or software so that it will work with the M1 chip better. I don't know if it's native software or if it's the Intel code that's working better with it. I have no idea how they've done the programming, but they do have M1 support inside of Luminar AI. And I just kind of want to show you a few things. It's much snappier, much faster performance, and it makes for a much better environment inside of Luminar AI. One of the things shows you that if you have a current system, Luminar AI is not a sluggish piece of software. I know some people have complained that it was performing poorly on older equipment, and that's really what it is. It's older equipment. As things progress, your equipment needs to progress with it. So finally, I've made some progress. Let's take a look. Okay, so I am inside of my catalog, and there's a number of the photos that we've worked on in some of the previous videos. And I thought I would just take a couple of them and take a look. So I have, let's see, I want to pick something that I haven't taken in to the portrait bokeh, but let's go ahead. We'll start with this one right here, with this shot of the Capitol, and let's go to templates. And the first thing you notice is over here where it says for this photo. Didn't take very long for that to come up. Usually on my old machine, it would take a few more seconds, probably 5 to less than 10. And you'll notice if you look up here where it says Luminar AI, when Luminar is thinking or processing, this usually gets animated. All of the processing is happening on your local computer. It's not going up to the cloud like Photoshop does. The processing is happening locally. So that means if you're working offline, you can still do your work. Whereas with Photoshop, then you have to have a network connection for some of those tools to work. So that's a nice thing. But as I click on, let's just pick this first one called Urban Style. And I'll click on something here and I'll take a look. And the moment I click, right then, you can see an immediate change. On the older system, it took a while for that to process. So I can walk through some of these others and you'll see the changes happening pretty much right away. There may be still some where, like, for example, I know there's one preset I had that changed the sky as well. Let me see if I can't find that. We'll go back up to templates. I think it was in Big City Lights. So let's try this and see if I can find the one. I could be wrong. But for the most part, the changes are happening very quickly. I'm not getting quite the same delay that I used to. It would take me a while to go through those. And apparently Big City Lights is not the one that had the change in the sky. So I'm not worried about that. What I wanted to show you, though, is if you're looking at templates, then there are some in here that will just do a very nice job and give you quick performance if you're working with, the M1 iMac. And notice that a couple of them might operate immediately. Some of them, like this Dream Film, took a second or two to get in place. And that's okay. It wasn't like the ones where I was taking 5 to 10 seconds to wait for something to happen. So overall, I would say my performance is much superior working with the M1 chip with Luminar AI than it was with that Core i5 Intel machine. So let's go ahead, clear this off. And we'll go into Edit. And since there's no portrait here, let's take a look at some of the changes we might be able to do. So for example, if we are going to replace the sky, let's choose a sky. This one seems good enough. And that's it. It was not, as I clicked it, it was probably about less than a second later, but you could see that there was definitely a very quick performance. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. And just kind of work on some of these tools. You can see there's like immediate effect with what's happening, depending on the contrast that you're selecting. And it's just working very fast, very efficient. And that's one of the things I wanted to show is if you're getting in the mood or thinking about if you want to get an M1 Mac with Luminar as one of your concerns, don't be concerned. It's moving quickly. All right, I'm going to reset this and let's go try a different kind of photo. And I'm going to do something that probably shouldn't happen. So let's take this photo. We're going to go into edit and you can tell that I've got a white background here. I'm going to come over here to creative and we're going to go into Sky AI and we're going to choose something a little bit funky. We're going to choose this one. This technically should not work because the white background is not a sky. But I wanted to play around and I'll kind of show you a couple of things that you can do with Luminar AI, but also the performance of how this works. So I'm going to leave Sky AI right there. And we could put in some atmospheric haze or do something like that, but I don't think that's really going to help us over here. And we can change the brightness a little bit. But I'm pretty much going to leave the sky alone as it is. What I want to do instead is close this down and come over here to where it says scene relighting. And these gaps that we see right here, I've mentioned this before, but this relight human really works rather well to go ahead and kind of close some of that down. And you notice as I'm doing this, it's darkening her skin and her face, and it's because it is essentially relighting her. But as I do that, it's masked in exactly what we need. Now you say that, okay, but now she looks like she's in shadow. We can do a few other things. Keep in mind, we can change the saturation. Also, this relight strength applies to basically as a global or master volume, if you will, for these two sliders. So that's something to keep in mind in case you're doing that. So we've got a good mask there. Now, what do we want to do next? We could defocus, we could warm up or cool down the sky. We can make it a little bit brighter. Let's make it a little bit brighter. And that kind of fades her out a little bit, but I'm going to go over and take a look at some of our different tools. And I'll look at super contrast. And that's giving us quite a bit of a different look. I'm also going to do something strange. I'm going to come over here to Portrait Bokeh AI, and I'm going to bring this up to the middle. Now, you notice Portrait Bokeh AI does not do any animation on this when it's checking that out, but it still is processing much faster because you can see how the bokeh is affecting the sky that I've put back over there. So she's masked in perfectly. So you can try and play around and see if you get a result like this. So for example, this is a white background. It should not have shown a sky. And down here at the bottom, maybe we might need to move the sky a little bit, but we can kind of change the glow of the highlights. We can change the amount of the bokeh. I'm going to go a little crazy and move that up. I'm going to make this a little bit cooler. And now to put some light on her, I'm going to come over here to vignette. I'm going to choose her as a subject. We're going to bring down the vignette and I'm going to add a little bit of inner light. And that's how we're going to bring some attention back to her. So we can make this much darker on the vignette and add more inner light. So now we've created something that just shouldn't exist, but it does. And we could even go a little bit further. Maybe since we've got light down here, we could put some sun rays inside of there. And we can also do some other things. We can come over here and make a basic adjustment in paint. And let's say that we wanted to bring up the exposure just a little bit. I can do that globally, or I can just do that in paint on her. And that's probably a little bit too much for what we want to do there, but I can pull this back down as well too. So just playing around with the power of the M1 iMac. Now, Luminar AI, as of update version 3, is enhanced for the M1 iMac. And I'm really enjoying this because I can play with things without having to sit here and wait. There were times on my old system where I were trying to paint something in or brush it, and I'm doing an example on her thigh here. You can see it's happening immediately. There were times on my old system when I would paint and I would be going back and forth and never see that little red highlight coming up at all. So this is responding immediately and quickly and fast and fun. Basically, the performance that I'm seeing with Luminar AI is outstanding. And that's on basically a consumer level computer. This is not something that was designed for enhanced photography or video, and yet it's doing a better job than a lot of the Intel computers were. Is it the best thing in the world? I don't know. I've only had it for a couple of days now, but I decided that it was time for me to move up from what I had. I was hoping to hold out for the larger iMac to come out. It appears, based on the rumors, that that's not coming out until sometime in 2022. I said, you know what? Let's just get what's there. I would rather have some performance improvement than just slug along with what I was using before. And I'm very happy that I made the change. So if you're on the fence about getting an M1 iMac and Luminar as one of your primary tools, the two work together very well. And I just wanted to give a little bit of a video to show how that's working, some of the things that you can do, and the fact that there's no dragging, there's no delay. And if that's happening to you, as it was happening to me, then you don't really have to put up with it anymore. A nice new computer, and this thing is doing a wonderful job. And I like it. I don't know if I'm going to upgrade to the new iMac when it comes out. Perhaps at some point I will, but for right now, this is meeting my needs. I hope this was helpful for you. If it was, please go ahead, click the like button. If you're thinking about getting another computer and an M1 iMac is on your list of possibilities, I'd give it a recommendation. I'm very pleased with what I have so far. And that's because I'm very embedded in the Mac OS and iPad OS and iPhone community. It fits right in. It works very well. So I'm very pleased with it. And if you have any questions about this, please let me know in the comments. I would be happy to help you with whatever I know so far, or to do any testing to see what works and what doesn't. Thank you so much. I'll see you again in the next video.